House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Senator Cory Booker held a sit-in protest on the steps of the Capitol today. The two were there for more than 12 hours until about half an hour ago, with the sit-in starting at 6 a.m.
Hakeem Jeffries and Democratic Senator Cory Booker hosting a live stream from the steps of the Capitol building to protest President Trump and his policies.
In protest of the Republican budget plan, you're looking at House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Senator Cory Booker, who held a sit-in that lasted more than 12 hours.
Let's just call it what it is, a moral gut punch. The Republican budget plan is a middle finger to the poor, the sick, the elderly, and, if you've got a conscience, to you, too. While the GOP is out here trying to sneak a $1.5 trillion hatchet job into our federal programs, guess who showed up literally before the sun? On Sunday, Cory Booker and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries planted themselves on the Capitol steps, ready to throw punches at a Republican budget plan so vile it could only come from the twisted mind of Trump's GOP machine. This isn't just politics as usual, it's a moral emergency, and these guys are sounding the alarm like the world's on fire. Why? Because the GOP is about to gut Medicaid, food assistance, and torch programs for kids, seniors, and the disabled to fund tax cuts for billionaires who probably wipe their mouths with gold-plated napkins. But here's the kicker. There's a twist in this story that'll leave you speechless, and I'm not spilling it just yet. Stick with me, because this is going to get wild. Smash that like button and hit subscribe, because we're about to tear into this mess with the fury of 1,000 suns, the sit-in that shook the Capitol. Let's set the scene. It's barely 6 a.m., and while most of America's still snoring, Booker and Jeffries are out here staging a live-streamed sit-in on the Capitol steps. Not a quick photo op, mind you're in it for hours, 9 and counting, surrounded by supporters, lawmakers, and everyday folks who've had it with the GOP's nonsense. This isn't some performative stunt, it's a desperate cry to save Medicaid, the lifeline for millions of low-income families, disabled kids, and seniors. The Republicans? They're itching to carve out $880 billion from Medicare and Medicaid over the next decade, all to keep Trump's 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act alive, because apparently billionaires need more yacht money. Booker, celebrating his 56th birthday no less, kicks things off with a sermon that'd make Martin Luther King Jr. nod in approval. "We're here on a Sunday morning," he says, voice dripping with conviction, "to have a conversation grounded in our faith traditions, to talk about a moment of moral urgency." Jeffries, not missing a beat, lays it out plain. We're either standing with the American people or we're swallowing this cruel budget the GOP's trying to ram down our throats. Boom. That's the kind of clarity that cuts through the noise. And here's your first dopamine hit. They're not alone. Senators like Chris Coons and Angela Alsobrooks, Reps, Gil Cisneros, and Gabe Amo, even civil rights lawyer Maya Wiley and AFT President Randy Weingarten are all rolling up to join the fight. Regular folks, too, from families relying on Medicaid to tourists stumbling across the scene, are sitting down to share gut-wrenching stories. This is grassroots rage meeting political firepower, and it's electric. The GOP's budget, a moral dumpster fire. So what's got Booker and Jeffries so fired up? Let's break it down, rapid-fire style, because this budget is a masterclass in cruelty. The GOP's plan, set to move through budget reconciliation, a shady trick to bypass Democratic votes, is a $1.5 trillion spending cut extravaganza. Their target? Programs that keep America's most vulnerable afloat. Medicaid's on the chopping block, facing cuts so deep they could kick 5 million people off the program, according to an Urban Institute study. 5 million people. Let that sink in. But wait, it gets worse. The Republicans, led by House Speaker Mike Johnson, who's got the charisma of a soggy napkin heir pushing work requirements for Medicaid. Johnson calls it common sense, saying, "Work is good for you. You find dignity in work. Oh, please. Spare us the sermon, Mike." A KFF analysis found 92% of Medicaid recipients are already working, studying, or caregiving. So what's the real game here? It's a deliberate move to shrink the program, dignity be damned. And for what? To offset Trump's tax cuts for the ultra-rich, because apparently the 1% need more private jets, while kids go without health care. Booker's not having it. "This bill presents one of the greatest moral threats to our country," he thunders, quoting MLK. Budgets are moral documents. Jeffries doubles down, calling it a cruel plan to jam down the throats of the American people. They're not just fighting for policy. They're fighting for the soul of the nation. And that twist I mentioned earlier? It's lurking, and it's going to flip this story on its head. Keep reading. Voices from the ground. Real people. Real pain. The sitting's not just a politician's soapbox. Over 9 hours, the Capitol steps become a stage for heartbreak and defiance. Maya Wiley, that civil rights powerhouse, breaks it down with stories that hit like a gut punch. She talks about Sarah from South Dakota, who quit her job to care for her son with daily seizures. Medicaid's the only thing keeping them afloat. Then there's Jasmine from Alabama, a mom of 2, disabled after a fall, relying on Medicaid to survive. When we talk about cuts, people bleed. Wiley says, and you can feel the crowd's anger rising. Other programs are in the crosshairs, too. Head Start, which gives low-income kids a shot at preschool, on the block. The Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, helping families pay for heat. Toast, health research, education, housing, childcare, all facing the GOP's budget buzzsaw. Booker sums it up. This budget reflects what we value, who we protect, and what we stand for. Spoiler, the GOP's values are looking real ugly right now. And here's a quick tease at that twist I keep hinting at. It's tied to a move so bold it could change everything. Don't skip ahead. I'm building to it. This sit-in isn't a one-off. It's part of a broader Democratic push to get loud, get creative, and get in the GOP's face. Booker's fresh off a historic 25-hour Senate floor, the longest in history where he railed against Trump's agenda. 25 hours. The man's got stamina and a mission. Jeffries, meanwhile, is rallying his House troops, knowing they're up against a Republican majority hell-bent on steamrolling them. But the Democrats aren't just shouting into the void. They're strategizing. Booker says it plain. We can't keep doing things like business as usual. The sitting's a signal they're ready to shake things up in halls, protests, maybe more stunts like this. They're under pressure from constituents who are done with polite resistance. At a town hall, Representative Marie Glueson-Perez got called out for not showing enough anger and fight. The crowd roared, "Stand up for us." Even Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is catching heat for not blocking a GOP bill to avoid a shutdown. The base wants blood, and Booker and Jeffries are delivering. Here's another stair-step moment. 12 House Republicans yep. Republicans signed a letter saying they won't support Medicaid cuts. 12. That's a crack in the GOP's armor, and Booker's eyeing it like a hawk. With just 4 Republican voters, he says, things can change. That's the game plan. Peel off a few GOP defectors and kill this budget in its tracks. But can they pull it off? That's where our twist comes in, and trust me, it's a doozy. Zoom out for a second. This isn't just about Medicaid or tax cuts. It's about what kind of country we want to be. Booker and Jeffries are framing this as a moral reckoning, and they're not wrong. The GOP's budget isn't just numbers on a page. It's a blueprint for abandoning the vulnerable to prop up the powerful. Trump's fingerprints are all over it, from the tax cuts to the border priorities that somehow always seem to screw over the little guy. And the Republicans are so desperate to please him, they're willing to torch the safety net. But the Democrats aren't perfect either. Schumer's waffling on that shutdown bill pissed off his own party, and some voters are wondering if the old guard's got the guts for this fight. Booker and Jeffries, though? They're the new blood, the ones willing to sit on cold stone steps for 9 hours to make a point. They're betting that stories, Sarah's, Jasmine's, your scan wake people up. Speaking out and speaking up is how we convince 4 Republicans to do the right thing, Booker says. It's a long shot, but it's not impossible. And here's that twist I've been teasing. There's a wild card in play. Rumors are swirling that a high-profile Republican senator, someone you'd never expect, is privately wavering on the budget. If Booker and Jeffries can flip them, it could derail the whole GOP plan. I won't name names yet, but this is the kind of bombshell that could rewrite the script. Imagine the smug satisfaction if they pull it off. Told you so, GOP. Let's wrap this up with some real talk. This sit-in, this fight, it's bigger than Booker or Jeffries or even Trump. It's about accountability. It's about saying, hell no, you don't get to gut healthcare for kids to pad your donors' wallets. It's about reminding America that budgets aren't just numbers. They're choices. And right now, the GOP is choosing greed over grace. Booker's out here quoting MLK. Jeffries is calling out billionaire donors, and they're both begging us to get loud. Because here's the truth. This budget isn't set in stone. 4 Republican votes could stop it. 4. That's not a fantasy, it's a plan. So what's it going to be, America? Are we going to let Trump's cronies turn this country into a playground for the rich? Or are we going to stand up, speak out, and demand justice? The Capitol steps are empty now, but the fight's just beginning. Booker and Jeffries lit the fuse. It's on us to keep the fire burning. And that wildcard senator? Keep your eyes peeled, because if they flip, it's game over for Trump's budget. Smug vindication incoming.